So welcome to Charles Street in Brief. I'm joined today by Lesley Marshall from the Newark Foodbank, who's going to talk to us about the food bank and specifically about how lockdown has affected the food bank. So Lesley, first of all, welcome.
Thank you. Well, thank you. Good to be here.
Can you tell us something about Newark Foodbank, please?
Yes, certainly. I'm sure you all will already know, a lot of people will already know anyways, that it was first set up in February 2013 and we incorporated Tuxford Food Bank in 2016. So our range goes all the way through to Tuxford, taking in that A1 corridor as well as far to Southwell and beyond, actually, Bilsthorpe, Ollerton, all around that area. So we do support a very wide Newark and right round the surrounding area. Now, through lockdown, we've had to change completely how we have been working, because previously we had a cafe style opening on a Tuesdays and Fridays at Barnby Gate Methodist Church, and we also open on Tuesday mornings in a cafe style again at Tuxford with a group of volunteers there. But of course, first lockdown, we had to close down everything, and we were doing delivery only. We also used to use, I'll come back to that, we also used to use a red voucher referral system. So any agency would sign up, such as children's centres, doctors, a job centre, Citizens Advice, the council, and they would hand people a red voucher to bring along to the food bank, and we would exchange that for food and give them a coffee, a chit chat. But everything was shut down. So it was all a bit of a blur to begin with. I basically sat here, well, I still sit here with a little laptop and a pay-as-you-go mobile phone. And that phone rang off my ears just about. In fact, I changed the ringtone at one point because it was so abrasive, the ringtone, that it was, I'm going to have a heart attack. So I just changed the ringtone to something, gentler, really. But anyways, that's an aside. Because people were kind of thinking, what's happening? I mean, especially because people had jobs and then didn't the next day. 0 hour contract, jobs one day, jobs not the next. Self-employed people, some living just, managing, but at the end of the month, they needed the next month. There was no spare, there was no slack for them. A lot of people went into shielded isolation. So actually they were phoning saying, we can't get out. But of course, those people did actually have the money to buy food. So I was kind of like directing people to the council's golden number, which was the number that would help these people to find volunteers to shop for them. And then I was trying to work out who needed what. And I basically sat on the phone and listened to people for just in bewilderment and shock and horror, actually. And then we got a bit of a system going. And we had so a lot of my wonderful volunteers. Well, firstly, a lot was shielding as well, because they were in that age bracket, or they had underlying. I mean, I was shielding. I didn't go out. I think I went out for about 6 weeks last year. That's about it. But what to do? So we had some wonderful people who were on furlough for a start off, who were young, who were not in a high risk bracket, who offered to be delivery drivers.
Okay.
Yeah. So and to be fair, they're still doing some deliveries for us as well. One was a father and his son who was doing the Duke of Edinburgh Gold, so he volunteered and they did deliveries. One couple were teachers who were on furlough, so although they did their little bit of teaching at home, at the end of the day they'd come and do some, and a couple worked for the council. They work for the council. Right. So, and some of them are still my delivery drivers, because come September, when we kind of opened up a bit, we went back to doing some collections at we opened up Barnby Gate to some collections. So there was people who were single or couples or single parent families with one child, just the small bags. And then we still do the deliveries to the families on a Tuesday and Friday evening. but it's not the same at Pompey. It's just not, because we have, we haven't got any time really to chat. People come in all masked up. We're all masked up. Barriers of tables. They come in the main entrance, say hi, give them a cheery welcome, of course, but there's no cup of coffee. There's no, sympathetic ear. Well, there is a little bit, but we can't have people hanging about, you see. But at least it's a little bit of face-to-face contact. So that's good. So that's how we're doing it now. Still, that's it. That's the way we are doing it at the moment.
So how many volunteers do you have at the moment?
Well, all the volunteers are still kind of there in the background, even if they can't volunteer. There's a few who have said, "Oh, well, actually, I was coming to the time, decided to, retire, if you like, from the volunteer." So every now and then I just write a little newsy, chatty letter as to where we're up. In fact, I've just done one recently. It should be going out in the next this week. I send it to somebody who knows a lot more about emailing than I do. So they send it out for me. But so the volunteers are still there, but in the background, if you see what I mean. But we have had some new volunteers, as I say, with delivery drivers. And that kind of thing. And then at Tuxford, Ambrose and Shirley are wonderful. Ambrose is kind of my little coordinator there anyways, but him and Shirley have been taking on the deliveries at that kind of side. So they take in Tuxford and the little villages around there, Weston and all those other little villages, and even Booton and Ollerton at times. But they've been isolating last week and this week, so I have been I have been doing a little bit of that for them, which is, because we do get not loads, but I would say on average there's about 2 or 3 in that kind of area of the country as well, of the county as well. Yeah, and we do have deliveries going out to Bilsthorpe, Clipston, all round out there as well, Piscaton, Southwell. Yeah.
So what sort of numbers of people are you supporting by provision of food and the aid that they need at this time?
Well, I took some figures. I looked up some figures here. So just for last month, but from December to January. From December to January, we provide, and I worked it. We provided 5,460 meals.
Wow!
In that month.
Right.
Now, if we think back to our AGM is kind of June, so it would be June 2019 to 20 that I'm talking about. We did around, I forgot to get the figures, but I can remember it, around 23,000 meals. Yeah, in the year. Yeah.
Right.
So that, yeah. But we've got such generosity of people's donations. We brought in between December and January 12,500 kilograms of food. Now that's a lot. That is a lot of food in a month. I mean, that's the Christmas month. Oh my goodness, people's generosity. Christmas as well. People who didn't have very much were still giving. And the amount of selection boxes. My goodness, it was just wonderful. We had, selection boxes, mince pies. Goodness me, it was just beautiful. It was really, really lovely. The amount of regular donations and then those extra Christmas things as well. I mean, we've got some Easter eggs coming in as well now, so that's nice, isn't it?
Yes. So that's kind of the good news story. But
yes,
how do you see the future panning out over the next year?
Well, I don't think it'll get any better. Well, for example, I had a referral in this week, and this woman is a single parent. Yeah, she's got 2 teenagers. She's been phoning around and around because actually she lives in down the A46, Bingham. Sorry, I completely forgot there. Bingham, that's where I meant to say. Right, so she's been trying to phone round, and Newark is her nearest food bank. But she has worked hard all her life. She's self-employed, but of course she hasn't been working. But she hasn't been self-employed long enough, for 3 years, in order to get the government help. Yeah. So she gets a reduced use at universal credit. She's paid all her bills. She has £7 left for food, and her next payment is the 19th of March. She took her mortgage holiday in the last lockdown, so she won't be able to get one now. She can't go back to work until April, whatever it was, 12th, is it, or something, the latest date? Yeah. She's not the only person. That's not, I've heard a lot of these stories, similar. Yeah. So she's just totally grateful. Yeah. So those are even if we all get back to work and we all, the actual devastation is cool, because she says she's got £5,000 worth of debt now because of this. You can't recover very easily from that, can you? So I can't see it getting any better, and I can see that we will be, busier.
Right.
In the next year.
And it sounds to me from what you're saying that there isn't really a sort of average food bank client. It can be anybody from anywhere.
Absolutely. It can be anyone from anywhere. We've had some people, it can be people offenders have just come out of prison and trying to find their feet again. It can be middle-class families who have just, the pandemic has just wiped them out. It can be. The other thing I've had a lot more referrals from is child protection, social services, child protection, because there's been usually in the past we've had one or two every now and then, but I'm getting them regularly now because of the lock, and that is part of an issue to do with the lockdown. So that's not good either. You see, a lot of domestic violence. We had one or two women's aid referrals, one or two. We've got a woman who visits regularly, actually, and you might think, oh, that's not good. No, it's not good. But she has fled domestic violence. She's now having to pay massive court costs because her ex-partner, husband, is causing a lot of grief, and she hasn't, once a fortnight she visits. And that's not what we like to happen in the food bank, because we don't want people to be dependent on the food bank, because that's not what we're about. We're about providing 3 to 4 days worth of emergency food in a crisis. But that's what we are noticing, though, that there's a lot of people who are just not quite managing. Yeah, and we're trying to address that. For the future, we're trying to look forward to see how we can address that. They might not need a full food bank delivery or full food bank, but there's nothing in between. There's nothing to help them out with that, just managing. So we're trying to see whether we can address that as a way forward to alleviate food poverty. So we've got sort of ideas in our heads and in talking with trustees of the food bank as well. So that's partly the way forward. Yeah. What else? Oh, the other thing we've had this year, we have a van now, which was given. Well, we got a very big grant from the council to help us get that. So that has actually proved its worth already. It really has. Because I was not sceptical. I was thinking, do we need a van? Is that a little bit empire building? What are we talking? But no, actually, with the way that we are running things now, it's good, because we've also found other what am I trying to say? Other food poverty charities in the area that we can support. For example, there's Billsthorpe Food Club we can support, so that actually now, if we have a referral in from Billsthorpe, I can phone up Julie in Billsthorpe and she'll do that delivery from me with the food that we have got there. It's not a satellite as such, it's just her, it's a bit of a helping hand and that kind of thing. So that works as well, really.
Yeah. I can tell from talking to you, Lesley, that you're extremely passionate about this. Why is that?
Oh, well, yeah. I came into the food bank at the very beginning, when Steph Melrose was, she was trying to convince churches together that food bank was a good thing, and I was thinking, but Steph, I admire and respect very much, and I thought, well, I will support this, and when I realised what the organisation was, I thought, yes, I can do a once a fortnight. That'll be fine. Well, about a year later, here I was being the manager, and it is because I'm why should anybody go hungry? Why should anybody not be able to afford food in this day and age? Why should they not? Why should they not have basic food on the table? And I know some of the clients that we have, they're always going to be in that bit of a, lurch from crisis to crisis. And there's a few clients I have very dear soft spots for as well, because their lives have been chaos. One woman in particular, I don't know how she's done it. She's got my own personal mobile number now. She'll phone up and just say, "Hey, Lesley, do you think you can get me a little bit of food this week just to tide me over?" And and actually, I know that she's being supported by Home Start, so I know she's plugged into some support as well. But she's a victim of domestic violence. If you look back and back and back, her whole childhood has been dreadful. I am actually in admiration that woman is actually able to, hold down a tenancy and have a family. And she's always cheery, and I just think that woman needs a break. You know what I mean? And there's lots of other people, and I think why are they not able to? And as I say, some people cannot budget, and that's a failing as well. I think I learned to budget at school, and my parents taught me, and and I've had some very poor times, but I've always found budgeted enough. But I'm passionate that people, and this is where I suppose I also see the future work of the food bank, not just giving out sacks of food, which is in itself good, but also helping people to kind of move out of that trap that they're in of food poverty, and try and move them towards being able to budget properly, maybe, or so that's one side of it, and the other is I just can't cope with people being hungry in this day and age. I really can't, and I want to see food poverty ended, really. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand completely. Yeah, yeah. So just as we sort of draw to a close, I think there's two really important things that we should talk about. The first is, how can people who are able to support the food bank, how can they do so? And the second is that, of course, there's the chance that somebody watching this may actually need the services of the food bank. So perhaps you could talk also about how they might access the food bank services and get some additional food or some food to help them along the way.
Sure. Firstly, to support, the best support ever is prayer. This organisation is a Christian organisation, and true, not all my volunteers are Christians, but the ethos is Christian. Yeah, and we have a regular prayer email that goes out. If you want to be part of that, then just let me know. I'll give all the details. Excuse me. And especially, and I know quite a few people who have been shielding, say, "Oh, we can't help. How do we help?" And a lot of people have given money where they can't give food because they're not out shopping. But actually, if you're shielding and if you just spend, just hold us up in prayer whenever you've got a minute. That's the biggest thing for me, really. The biggest thing, because we can make a difference with prayer. We can make such a. I've seen it. I've seen it over all the years. We can make a difference with prayer. So that's critical for me. That's critical. But as I say, people can donate. People can, donate food or money, whatever. It all goes. All our volunteers are volunteers, including me. No one is paid. We pay out things like mileage costs and stuff because we do not want anybody. People are volunteering off their free time and their commitment, but we do not want anybody to be out of pocket. But nobody's paid. We have some overheads, but they're they are fine. So all the money would be used usefully, all our food would be used usefully. But coming on to if people need to use the food bank,
Yeah.
we still take referrals from agencies. So, but people don't meet face to face. You phone up an agency, such as the council, Citizens Advice, Home Start, Job Centre. There's a full list on our website. But failing that, people can always ring me up. It'll always be me on the end of the phone. And if for some reason I don't answer it, leave a message and I will phone back. And the number is 07307 695 310. Or you can email me, because it's only me, at info@newark.foodbank.org.uk. And I will make sure if you're in need of food or you know anybody in need of food, I will make sure that that is sorted out for them and they get some food one way or another.
That's great. Thank you. I'll make sure that information is also put at the end of the video so that people can see it on screen, and it'll stay there for a while so people can copy it down. I just want to say, as a member of the community here in the Newark area, thank you so much to you and your volunteers for all that you do. And thank you for being willing to be interviewed. It's not always something people enjoy being interviewed, but it's been great talking to you, real inspiration. And we hope and pray that the work of the food bank will just go on. And well, we hope it won't ever be needed, but whenever it's needed, we hope it'll go on and on. And, you know, we're just thinking of you at this time. Thanks ever so much.
Thank you. And thank you to Charles Street, because, you know, you are very, very faithful donators to the food bank. And we appreciate that. We do appreciate, I appreciate that very much indeed. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.